up.
Now you do what they told you.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
There were songs in the 90s that felt dangerous the moment they hit the air, tracks like Killing in the Name, blasting from garage speakers, or Closer slipping onto late-night TV before someone hurried to change the channel. These are 20 of the most controversial songs from the 1990s. Madonna, Justify My Love.
I wanna kiss you in Paris.
There was nothing on early 90s radio that felt as hazy or intimate as Madonna's Justify My Love. Whispered like a secret past in a dark hallway, the track drifted between spoken confession and dreamlike seduction, far removed from the bright pop anthems that had made her a household name the decade before.
I just wanna be a lover.
When the video dropped, MTV refused to air it, calling the BDSM-tinged imagery too explicit for television. The controversy only fueled curiosity, and the single still shot to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, pushing Madonna to release the clip commercially, making it the first music video ever sold in stores.
For you to justify my...
That move turned a ban into a cultural milestone, cementing the track as one of the 90s most defining shockwaves, and if Madonna blurred the line between art and taboo, our next group stormed right past it. 2 Live Crew banned in the U.S.A.
So listen up, y'all, to what we say. We won't be banned in the U.S.
When 2 Live Crew released Banned in the U.S.A., it didn't just sound like Miami bass, it sounded like a group fighting for its right to exist. With pounding drums, charged political samples, and Luther Campbell's unmistakable defiance, the track captured the exact moment rap music was dragged into America's culture wars.
The men that gave us freedom of speech. So what you're saying, it did.
The song dropped in the middle of obscenity arrests, album seizures, and court battles so intense that their previous record became the first album in history to receive the Parental Advisory label. And even with radio bans across multiple states, Banned in the U.S.A. still broke through and landed on the Billboard Hot 100, turning censorship into fuel. It became a rallying cry, part protest, part celebration, marking the moment 2 Live Crew transformed legal pressure into cultural power. And if this track exposed the cracks in America's idea of free speech, our next song kicked the door straight off its hinges. Body Count, Cop Killer. When Body Count unleashed Cop Killer, it didn't feel like a typical rock song. It felt like a siren. Raw, loud, and unfiltered, Ice-T's metal project tapped into the anger simmering in early 90s America, turning frustration with police brutality into a blistering burst of rebellion that couldn't be ignored. Almost instantly, the backlash exploded. Police unions protested nationwide, politicians called for boycotts, and even President George H.W. Bush weighed in. Under immense pressure, Warner Brothers pulled the track from later pressings, even though the album itself still climbed the charts and pushed Body Count into the cultural spotlight. Cop Killer became one of the decade's defining shockwaves, a song that forced the music industry to confront the line between art, anger, and politics. And if this track ignited a national uproar, our next band turned that rebellion into anthem-level fury. Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name. When Rage Against the Machine dropped Killing in the Name, it felt like a fuse being lit. Built on a grinding riff, explosive drums, and Zach De La Rocha's unmistakable fire, the track captured the rage of a generation fed up with authority, and it didn't bother softening a single edge.
Now you do what they told you.
Radio stations struggled with it from the start, especially the now infamous repeated outro that forced most networks to censor or ban the track outright. Even without major radio support, the song climbed charts across Europe, became a staple of 90s protest culture, and eventually hit #1 in the UK years later on a fan-driven campaign. Killing in the Name became more than a song, it became a ritual of resistance, shouted in concerts, protests, and late-night college dorms for decades. And if Rage brought fury into the mainstream, our next artist turned controversy into pure, unapologetic swagger. Prince Sexy MF.
Yeah. You sexy motherfucker.
By the time Prince released Sexy MF, he was deep into his rebellious early 90s renaissance, slick horns, tight funk grooves, and a title delivered with the kind of wink only Prince could pull off. It was bold, brash, and effortlessly cool, sounding like a late-night jam session you definitely weren't old enough to attend. But that title came with a cost. Many radio stations refused to play the song without heavy edits. MTV kept the video at arm's length, and the track barely dented US charts despite performing better overseas. For Prince, though, commercial numbers mattered less than pushing boundaries, and Sexy MF was him doing exactly that.
Come in, baby. Yeah.
It stood as a reminder that Prince didn't follow trends, he snapped them in half and made his own lane. And if this track thrived on swagger and shock, our next one wrapped its controversy in a far more unexpected package. The Shamen Ebeneezer Goode. When the Shamen released Ebeneezer Goode, it sounded like pure early 90s rave energy, playful, bouncy, and tailor-made for neon-lit warehouses across the UK. But beneath the cheeky delivery and rapid-fire rhythm was a wink the whole country picked up on, a hook that sounded unmistakably like Ease or Good. That subtle wordplay wasn't lost on anyone. British tabloids exploded, accusing the group of promoting ecstasy at the height of the UK's rave culture panic. Radio stations hesitated, politicians protested, and even the group's record label had to insist it was just an innocent play on words, though fans knew better. Controversy didn't hurt its momentum either. The song still hit #1 on the UK singles chart. Ebeneezer Goode became a snapshot of a wild moment in music history, when rave culture burst into the mainstream with a mischievous grin. And if this track teased the edge of acceptability, our next one blew straight past it with zero hesitation. Nirvana, Army. When Nirvana introduced Army, it felt like a cold shock running through the warm haze of early 90s rock. Stripped down, raw, and built on a repetitive, unsettling hook, the track was Kurt Cobain at his most confrontational, aimed not at glorifying violence, but at forcing listeners to face the uglier parts of the world he saw around him. But the title alone was enough to ignite outrage. Critics accused the band of crossing a line, activists protested its release, and retailers like Walmart refused to stock the In Utero album unless the song was removed. Still, the album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, proving the controversy couldn't slow Nirvana's momentum. Over time, Army became one of the decade's most misunderstood anthems, an angry plea against abuse, wrapped in the kind of brutal honesty Cobain was never afraid to show. And if this track confronted darkness head-on, our next one explored a tragedy that felt painfully real for a generation growing up in the 90s. Pearl Jam, Jeremy. When Pearl Jam released Jeremy, it arrived like a somber gust against the louder, heavier currents of early 90s rock. Haunting, reflective, and carried by Eddie Vedder's unmistakable howl, the song painted a chilling portrait of a lonely kid slipping through the cracks, delivered with a quiet intensity that left listeners uneasy long after it ended. My doll left her. But it was the music video that pushed the track into national controversy. Its final scene, depicting a classroom tragedy, was so disturbing that MTV demanded edits. Schools protested its airing, and debate surged about violence in youth culture. Even with the backlash, Jeremy became one of Pearl Jam's signature hits, earning heavy rotation and winning 4 MTV Video Music Awards. In the years since, the song has stood as one of the decade's most sobering reflections, a reminder of how easily pain can go unnoticed until it's too late. And while Jeremy dealt in tragedy, our next track embraced shock with a far more provocative flair. 9 Inch Nails, Closer. When 9 Inch Nails released Closer, it felt like someone had cracked open the darker, stranger corners of the 90s and set them pulsing to a beat. Industrial, hypnotic, and dripping with Trent Reznor's signature tension, the song blended desire and distortion into something that sounded both seductive and dangerous, like a late-night channel you weren't supposed to find. But no lyric in the decade sparked more outrage than its infamous hook, the one radio station censored and MTV could barely touch. With its explicit line, "I wanna F you like an animal," the song ignited accusations of obscenity and forced networks to air heavily edited versions. None of the backlash slowed its momentum. The downward spiral still cracked the Billboard 200 Top 10, turning Closer into the album's most recognizable shockwave. Over time, the track became a cultural landmark, echoing through movies, trailers, and clubs long after the outrage faded. And if Closer pushed taboo into the mainstream, our next song took controversy somewhere far more personal. Aaliyah, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. When Aaliyah released Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, her voice carried the soft, breathy confidence of a rising R&B star. Smooth, warm, and impossibly mature for someone only 15. The song floated with that early 90s quiet storm glow, the kind you'd hear drifting out of late-night radio and bedroom stereos across the country. But behind that gentle sound was a controversy the industry couldn't ignore. Written and produced by R. Kelly, the track took on a far more uncomfortable meaning after reports surfaced about their relationship, sparking criticism across media and music circles. Even with the backlash, the album still reached the Billboard 200 Top 20, cementing Aaliyah as one of R&B's brightest new voices.
Take my hand.
In the years since, the song has become a complicated time capsule, both a testament to Aaliyah's undeniable talent and a reminder of the shadows surrounding her early career. And if this track carried controversy in its subtext, our next one placed it boldly front and center. Michael Jackson, They Don't Care About Us. When Michael Jackson released They Don't Care About Us, it tore through the mid-90s with a sharper edge than almost anything he'd recorded before. Built on pounding drums and a chant that felt half protest, half anthem, the song showed Jackson at his most direct, aiming injustice with a rhythm nobody could ignore. But the lyrics sparked an immediate firestorm. Advocacy groups accused the song of using anti-Semitic phrases, leading Jackson to publicly apologize and re-record the track for later releases. Despite the backlash, the single soared overseas, hitting the top 10 across Europe and becoming one of the most politically charged songs in his catalog. Over time, They Don't Care About Us has evolved into a global protest staple, resurfacing whenever people take to the streets with raised voices and restless hearts. And if Jackson brought activism to the world stage, our next artist clashed with controversy in a place no one expected, America's biggest retailer. Sheryl Crow, Love Is a Good Thing. When Sheryl Crow released Love Is a Good Thing, it carried the same breezy, rootsy charm that made her one of the 90s most dependable voices. Warm acoustic strums, steady drums, and Crow's easy confidence gave it that classic weekend radio feel, the kind of song you'd catch while driving with the windows down. But one lyric hit harder than anything on the rest of the album. Crow called out Walmart for selling guns used in school shootings, and the company responded by banning her entire record from their stores. Even with the fallout, the album still climbed into the Billboard 200 Top 10, proving that controversy couldn't slow her rise. In the end, the song became a reminder that even the mellowest artists can strike a nerve when they speak their mind. And while Crow's words rattled America's biggest retailer, our next track stirred discomfort with a far more unsettling kind of intimacy. Dave Matthews Band, Crash Into Me. When Dave Matthews Band released Crash Into Me, it wrapped the mid-90s in a warm, dreamy glow, gentle guitars, soft percussion, and Dave's voice curling around every line like a summer breeze. It felt tender and intimate, the kind of song that floated through bedrooms and long night drives with a sense of quiet longing. But that intimacy took on a far more unsettling shape once Matthews revealed the song's true perspective. Behind the softness was the voice of a voyeur, a peeping Tom narrating his obsession from the outside looking in. The revelation caught listeners off guard, flipping the track from romantic favorite to something far more complicated, even as the album climbed into the Billboard 200 Top 5 and became a defining hit for the band. Crash Into Me has lived in that curious tension ever since, a beautiful melody shadowed by a narrator who watches from the dark. And if this song hid discomfort behind sweetness, our next track masks something even more troubling beneath a bright, irresistible hook. Third Eye Blind, Semi-Charmed Life. Semi-Charmed Life burst into the late 90s like a sugar rush. Bright guitars, upbeat drums, and a hook so catchy it felt impossible to escape. It had the energy of a perfect summer afternoon, the kind of track blasting from convertible radios, mall speakers, and every teen movie soundtrack in sight. But underneath that sunshine was something far darker. Stephen Jenkins wrote the song about crystal meth addiction, casual sex, and the crash that follows the high, topics so explicit that radio stations demanded heavy edits just to get it on the air. Even with the censorship, the song became a massive hit, reaching the Billboard Hot 100 Top 10 and defining Third Eye Blind's breakout moment. Over the years, its bright exterior and shadowy core have turned Semi-Charmed Life into one of the decade's most deceptively dark anthems, a feel-good soundtrack hiding a spiral beneath the surface. And if this track concealed its chaos behind a sunny smile, our next one found controversy in a place no one expected, the courtroom. Outkast, Rosa Parks. When Outkast released Rosa Parks, it felt like a burst of southern freshness, acoustic guitar, hand claps, and Andre and Big Boy trading bars with the kind of effortless cool only they could deliver. It was playful, confident, and immediately recognizable, the kind of song that made the whole decade feel a little sharper and brighter. But the fun came with unexpected backlash. Rosa Parks herself filed a lawsuit claiming the group used her name without permission, sparking a lengthy legal battle that drew Outkast into headlines far outside the music world. Even with the controversy, the track still landed in the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of their early signature hits, pushing Southern hip-hop deeper into the mainstream. In the years since, Rosa Parks has stood as both a high point for the duo and one of the decade's most surprising court battles, a reminder that even the catchiest songs can stir up storms. And while this one fought its fight in the courtroom, our next track stirred controversy with raw intensity and street-edge storytelling. The Notorious B.I.G. Gimme the Loot.
Give me the baby rings and the #1 mark.
When Biggie laid into Gimme the Loot, he sounded like a one-man crime saga, shifting voices, twisting stories, and painting the kind of gritty street scenes that only he could deliver with such charisma. The beat hit hard, the flow was relentless, and the whole track felt like a cinematic burst of 90s East Coast swagger.
One in the chamber, 32 in the clip, motherfucker.
But some of those lyrics sparked serious backlash. Lines about robbing pregnant women drew enough criticism that later pressings quietly removed them, creating one of hip-hop's earliest examples of a major label self-edit. The track was never released as a single, but Ready to Die still climbed the Billboard 200 Top 20, cementing Biggie as a defining voice of the decade.
Give me the loot, give me the loot.
Over time, Gimme the Loot became a symbol of Biggie's raw storytelling power, fearless, unfiltered, and sometimes too real for the label to stand behind. And while this track pushed boundaries through narrative grit, our next one kicked up controversy with a blast of electronic fury and a title that set off headlines around the world. The Prodigy, Smack My Bitch Up. Smack My Bitch Up hit the late 90s like an electric shock, hard, fast, and unapologetically chaotic. With its pounding breakbeats, distorted vocals, and adrenaline-fueled drop, the track felt built for warehouse raves and packed clubs, the kind of song you felt in your chest before you even realized you were moving to it. But its title ignited a firestorm almost immediately. Critics accused the group of promoting violence against women, advocacy groups demanded bans, and MTV restricted the music video to late-night airings due to its graphic first-person descent through drugs, nudity, and violence. Despite the backlash, the single still cracked multiple European top 10 charts, becoming one of the Prodigy's most recognizable and most polarizing hits. In the end, Smack My Bitch Up became a lightning rod for the decade's debates about art, shock value, and responsibility, standing as one of electronic music's boldest and most controversial statements. And if this track pushed boundaries through pure intensity, our next one struck a far more sensitive nerve with a very different kind of pain. Blink-182 Adam's Song. Adam's Song arrived in the middle of Blink-182's pop-punk explosion, a surprising turn from a band known for jokes, speed, and chaotic energy. Stripped-down guitars and Mark Hoppus's steady, aching vocals brought a heaviness fans didn't expect, giving the track a quiet sincerity that lingered long after the final chord faded. But its subject matter sparked a wave of controversy. Centered on loneliness and negative thoughts, the lyrics hit so close to home that one tragic incident linked the track to a teenager's death, prompting national discussions and criticism from parents' groups. Even so, the song pushed the album into the Billboard 200 Top 10, becoming one of Blink's most defining and most debated moments. Today, Adam's Song stands as a complex piece of 90s history, painful, honest, and far more serious than anything the band had released before. And while this track confronted the darkness many felt but rarely voiced, our next song stirred a different kind of uproar with its shock, style, and unmistakable bite. Marilyn Manson, The Beautiful People. When Marilyn Manson unleashed The Beautiful People, it marched through the late 90s with a metallic stomp and a sneer sharp enough to cut through the decade's polished pop. Industrial riffs, pounding drums, and Manson's distorted growl turned the track into an anthem for every outsider who felt shut out of the mainstream. But its impact came with instant backlash. Religious groups protested his shows, politicians accused him of corrupting youth, and schools banned his imagery outright. Even with the controversy, the song became one of his biggest hits, pushing Antichrist Superstar into the Billboard 200 Top 10 and cementing Manson as the era's most notorious provocateur. Over time, The Beautiful People evolved from shock rock statement to cultural landmark, an energetic, unsettling reminder of how quickly music can become a target in America's culture wars. And while Manson stirred outrage with style and spectacle, our final track did the same with bubblegum pop and a schoolgirl uniform that stopped the decade cold. Britney Spears' Baby One More Time? When Baby One More Time hit the airwaves, it felt like a lightning bolt, catchy, polished, and powered by Britney's unmistakable voice. The song carried that perfect late 90s pop shimmer, the kind that echoed through malls, car rides, and every teen bedroom radio long before anyone knew just how big it would become. But the music video turned it into a cultural earthquake. Britney's schoolgirl outfit drew immediate criticism for sexualizing a 16-year-old, sparking debates on TV networks, in parenting groups, and across pop culture as a whole. None of the backlash slowed its momentum. The single rocketed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming one of the biggest pop debuts in music history. Over time, Baby One More Time became more than a hit. It became the defining moment of late 90s pop, the spark that launched Britney into global superstardom and reshaped the entire teen pop landscape. And just like the decade itself, it left a mix of nostalgia, excitement, and controversy that still lingers today. These were the controversies that shook the 90s, songs that sparked debates, stirred headlines, and left echoes long after the noise faded. Which of these tracks takes you back the most? Drop your favorite in the comments, hit subscribe, and join us next time as we revisit another unforgettable chapter in music history.